"Excuse me, are you done cleaning this lobby floor? We don't want guests slipping." The words hit her like a slap. She froze, holding her purse close to her chest. The man standing before her was tall, dressed in a gray business suit, with a smirk that showed he didn't see her as anything more than the help. She was not holding a mop. She was not wearing a maid's uniform. She was wearing a navy blue blazer with pearl buttons, her favorite silk scarf around her neck, and shoes polished so bright the hotel lights bounced off them. Yet still, he looked at her and spoke down to her as if she was invisible. The hotel lobby was full of people, guests checking in, tourists snapping photos of the shiny chandelier, and workers carrying luggage carts. Everyone turned their heads at the man's voice. Whispers rippled. Some chuckled under their breath. Others looked away quickly, pretending not to hear. Her heart pounded, but she stayed calm. Because she was not a maid. She was the owner of the hotel. And in just a few seconds, everyone in that lobby was going to find out. But before she could open her mouth, the man leaned closer, lowering his voice in a tone that carried pure arrogance. "You people should be grateful for jobs like this," he said. "Clean up quickly. I have a meeting upstairs." The entire room went silent. You could hear the wheels of a luggage cart rolling across the tile. She drew in a deep breath. Her hand tightened on her purse. This was the moment she had been through before, being mistaken, being looked down on, being judged for the color of her skin. But this time it was different. This was her hotel. She opened her mouth to speak. But then, the hotel manager rushed in from the other side of the lobby, eyes wide, clearly panicked. "Ma'am, there's a problem upstairs," he called out. His voice cut through the silence. "You need to come right now." Every head turned. The arrogant man's smirk faded into confusion. The whispers grew louder. What was going on? Why was the manager running to her? The air grew heavy with suspense. And in that single moment, everything was about to change. Earlier that morning, she had woken up before sunrise. Her name was Angela Carter, a 42-year-old black woman from Atlanta who had worked her whole life to get here. Owning a hotel wasn't just a dream for her, it was proof that she could rise above every insult, every rejection, every locked door she had faced. She remembered her childhood clearly. Her mother used to clean offices downtown, scrubbing floors after everyone else had gone home. Angela had often gone with her, helping sweep or empty trash cans. She remembered how tired her mother looked at the end of the night, but how proud she was to earn every dollar. "You're not going to do this forever," her mother would whisper to her. "You're going to be the one people look up to. You hear me? One day you're going to walk into a building and you won't be cleaning it. You'll own it." Those words stayed with Angela through the years. She had worked her way through college, sometimes juggling 2 jobs. She studied business management while working late nights at a diner. Professors doubted her, classmates ignored her, and employers overlooked her. But each time she was dismissed, she got stronger. After graduating, she started small, first with a little bed and breakfast she bought using every cent she had saved. She ran it with care, greeting guests with warmth, making sure the sheets were spotless, the food was fresh, and the staff was treated with respect. Guests loved her, and soon, her name became known. One property turned into 2, then 3. Each time she bought a new place, people looked at her in surprise. Some even tried to block her deals, saying she wasn't experienced enough. But Angela never stopped. Finally, she bought the grand hotel downtown, the one with the golden chandeliers, the marble floors, and the giant glass windows. It was her biggest purchase yet, and she had poured her heart and soul into making it shine again. And now, standing in that same lobby, she was being mistaken for a maid. The arrogance, the sting. But Angela had learned something long ago. The higher you rise, the more some people will try to pull you down. So she lifted her chin, ready to reveal the truth, when the manager's shout stopped her cold. She turned toward him, her heels clicking sharply against the floor as she walked in his direction. Guests whispered louder now, wondering what was going on. The man in the gray suit called after her, his voice mocking. "Don't forget the mop." A wave of laughter broke out among a few people standing near him. Angela's jaw tightened, but she didn't stop walking. The manager met her halfway, his face pale and sweating. "Ma'am, I'm sorry to bother you like this, but it's urgent. We found something upstairs in one of the rooms, and we don't know how to handle it." Angela narrowed her eyes. "What is it?" He lowered his voice, glancing nervously around the lobby. It's not safe." Her heart skipped. "Not safe." He gave a quick nod, looking over his shoulder as though someone might be listening. "You'd better come see for yourself." Angela followed him toward the elevators, the weight of every curious stare pressing down on her. She could still hear the man in the gray suit chuckling behind her, but she didn't look back. As the elevator doors slid shut, sealing her away from the noise of the lobby, Angela felt her stomach twist with unease. Whatever was waiting for her upstairs was serious, and it was about to change everything. The elevator climbed slowly, each floor lighting up with a ding. Angela's mind raced. What could possibly be in one of the rooms that was not safe? A fire hazard? A broken pipe? Or something worse? The manager fidgeted beside her, his hands shaking. "I'm sorry," he muttered. "I should have called security first. But I didn't know if this was something bigger." Angela frowned. "Bigger? What do you mean?" He looked at her with wide eyes, but before he could answer, the elevator doors opened on the 12th floor. The hallway was quiet, too quiet. Usually, she would hear maids moving carts, guests chatting, or doors opening and closing. But now the air felt still, almost heavy. The manager led her to the far end of the hall. His voice dropped to a whisper. "It's room 1209. Angela stepped closer, her heels tapping against the thick carpet. She noticed the door was already cracked open, a thin strip of darkness inside. Her pulse quickened. She pushed the door slowly, and it creaked louder than it should have. The room was dim, curtains drawn, the smell of stale air. Then she saw it. Something lying on the bed. Her breath caught in her throat. The manager whispered, trembling, "That's what I was trying to tell you." Angela took one shaky step into the room, and froze, because what she saw lying there wasn't just unexpected. It was dangerous, and it was about to throw her entire hotel, and her life, into chaos. Angela's eyes locked on the bed. At first, her mind couldn't process what she was seeing. A suitcase lay wide open, clothes spilling out, but that wasn't the shocking part. Inside the suitcase, tucked between the shirts and pants, were stacks of money. Thick bundles, wrapped in rubber bands, so many that the edges of the suitcase barely closed. And next to it, a gun. The air froze around her. She could hear her heartbeat in her ears. The manager's voice was a whisper, but it trembled with fear. "I didn't touch anything. I just came in to check the minibar, and I found it like this." Angela stepped closer, her heels sinking into the carpet, her eyes scanning every corner of the room. The curtains were drawn tight. The lamp by the bed flickered weakly. Whoever had left this behind had done it in a hurry, or had planned to come back. She swallowed hard. This wasn't just a guest being careless. This was something darker. Her voice was steady, though her chest burned with tension. "Did anyone else see this?" The manager shook his head quickly. "No. Just me. I came straight to you." Angela thought fast. This was her hotel. If news of guns and cash leaked, it could ruin everything she had built. But she also knew keeping quiet could put lives in danger. "Call security," she said firmly. "No one else goes into this room until I say so." The manager nodded, rushing toward the door. Angela stayed behind, staring at the bed, her thoughts racing. Who would bring this here? A criminal? A guest hiding something? And why her hotel? She reached for her phone to call the police. But then, the sound of footsteps echoed in the hallway. Slow. Heavy. Getting closer. Her breath caught. Someone was coming back. Angela's hand froze above her phone. She turned her head toward the door, the crack of light in the hallway growing brighter as the footsteps stopped just outside. Then, the doorknob began to turn. Earlier that week, Angela had been walking the hotel floors like she always did. She never wanted to be the kind of owner who sat in an office all day, disconnected from the people working under her. She liked greeting the staff, asking about their families, and making sure every detail in the hotel was right. It hadn't been easy, though. Many times, when she introduced herself as the owner, people stared at her in disbelief. "You?" they'd ask, eyes wide. Some tried to hide it, some didn't bother. She could almost hear their unspoken thoughts. A black woman owning a hotel this size? Impossible. Even her competitors in the city had once laughed at her, calling her the dreamer who would never make it. She remembered one man in particular, a wealthy hotel chain owner who told her to her face, "Stick to small properties. Leave the big leagues to us." But she had proved them wrong. And yet, no matter how much success she gained, moments like the one in the lobby, where strangers mistook her for a maid, still cut deep. She remembered the look on the suited man's face, the smirk, the way he didn't even pause to consider he might be wrong. To him, her skin color had answered everything he needed to know. Angela had learned to keep her head high in those moments, to let her success speak louder than their ignorance. But it still stung. And now, standing in a room with cash and a gun on the bed, she realized this wasn't just about her reputation anymore. It was about safety. The doorknob rattled again. Angela's pulse quickened. Should she hide? Confront the person? She had seconds to decide. The door creaked open, and a shadow fell across the carpet. Angela stepped back, her eyes fixed on the opening. Then, a man stepped inside. He was tall, dressed in black jeans and a leather jacket, with a face half hidden under a baseball cap. His eyes went straight to the suitcase, then flicked to Angela. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then, his lips curved into a slow, dangerous smile. "Well," he drawled. "Looks like someone found my things." Angela's throat went dry. Her instincts screamed at her to run, but her legs stayed rooted to the carpet. The man closed the door behind him with a soft click. "You know," he said, taking a step closer, "curiosity can get people in trouble." Angela stood her ground, though fear coiled in her stomach. She straightened her shoulders, raising her chin the way her mother always told her to when facing people who wanted to make her feel small. "This is my hotel," she said firmly. "You don't belong here." The man chuckled, a low sound that sent chills down her spine. "Your hotel, huh? Then maybe you can keep your mouth shut about what you saw. That'd be best for everyone." He stepped closer, his eyes dark, his hand brushing against the gun on the bed. Angela's heart pounded. The walls felt like they were closing in. Then suddenly, the door burst open again. "Freeze!" a voice shouted. It was hotel security, 2 officers with hands on their holsters. They rushed in, eyes scanning the room. The man in the leather jacket spun around, cursing. His hand darted toward the gun. Angela gasped, stumbling back as the tension snapped like a whip. And in that instant, everything exploded into chaos. The man's hand lunged toward the gun. "Don't move!" one of the security officers shouted, his voice booming through the room. But the man didn't stop. His fingers brushed the gun grip just as the second officer lunged forward, knocking the weapon off the bed. It clattered to the floor, sliding under the nightstand. Angela gasped, pressing herself against the wall. Her chest heaved with fear as the man spun, fists flying. The room erupted in chaos. One officer ducked a punch, the other tried to grab the man's arm. Furniture toppled over. A lamp crashed to the floor. Angela's heart raced. She was watching a fight for control unfold right in front of her. The man fought like someone who had nothing to lose. He shoved one officer into the dresser, sending a drawer spilling open. He elbowed the other in the stomach, forcing him to stumble back. Angela's eyes darted to the door. She could run. She could save herself. But something in her froze. This was her hotel. Her responsibility. She couldn't abandon it. Her gaze flicked to the nightstand, where the gun was still hidden beneath. The man noticed it at the same time. His eyes narrowed. He lunged for it. "No!" Angela shouted, throwing herself forward without thinking. She kicked the nightstand hard, sending the gun skidding out of reach. The man cursed, spinning toward her with fury. And for one terrifying second she thought he was going to hurt her. But before he could make a move, the first officer tackled him to the ground. The two struggled, fists pounding, until finally the second officer pinned his arms. Handcuffs clicked shut. The man roared in frustration, his face red with rage. Angela stumbled back, her legs shaking. She leaned against the wall, breathing hard. The room was a wreck. The suitcase of money sat gaping on the bed, silent evidence of whatever crime this man was involved in. The officer who had pinned him looked up at Angela, his chest heaving. "Ma'am, are you okay?" Angela nodded slowly, though her hands trembled. "Yes, I'm fine." But inside, she knew nothing was fine. This was only the beginning. After the police arrived and took the man into custody, Angela stood in the lobby, watching the scene unfold. Officers marched through the front doors, carrying the suitcase of money as evidence. Guests whispered, some filming on their phones, others staring openly. Angela felt every eye on her. Some looked confused, others concerned. And then there were those who still looked at her like she didn't belong, like she was just a bystander, maybe even part of the cleaning crew who had stumbled into the drama. Her jaw tightened. Even after everything, even as the hotel's owner, some people still refused to see her for who she was. The man in the gray suit, the one who had mocked her earlier, stood near the front desk, his face pale with shock as he watched the police carry the money out. He caught Angela's eye for just a second. She saw the recognition in his gaze, the realization that she was not who he thought she was. But instead of apologizing, he looked away, pretending to be busy on his phone. Angela turned her head, refusing to waste another thought on him. Still, the sting of his words clung to her. "Excuse me, are you done cleaning this lobby floor?" No matter how much she achieved, there would always be people who tried to reduce her to nothing. But she wouldn't let them win. That night, long after the chaos had settled, Angela sat alone in her office on the top floor. Papers were spread across her desk, police reports, incident forms, statements from her staff. The quiet hum of the city outside the window filled the silence. Her mind replayed the scene over and over. The gun, the money, the man's smile when he realized she had seen too much. Who was he? What was he doing in her hotel? And most importantly, was he acting alone? Angela rubbed her temples, exhaustion weighing heavy. She had built this hotel to be a place of peace, luxury, and dignity. Yet in one night it had been turned into a crime scene. Her phone buzzed. It was Detective Harris, the officer in charge of the investigation. "Mrs. Carter," his voice said through the line, calm but serious. "We've identified the suspect. He's connected to a larger criminal network we've been tracking for months. Your hotel may have been used as a drop point." Angela's blood ran cold. A drop point? Yes. And we believe he wasn't working alone. The words hit her like a punch. If that was true, then there could be more criminals hiding in her hotel right now. She straightened in her chair, determination burning in her chest. "Detective, I need to know everything. This is my hotel, my staff, my guests. If they're in danger, I have a right to know." There was a pause on the line, then Harris sighed. "All I can say is be careful. And watch who you trust. This goes deeper than you think." Angela's heart thudded heavily. Watch who you trust. She hung up the phone, staring out the window at the glowing city lights. Her hotel, her pride, her dream, now at the center of something dangerous. And she had no idea who inside those walls might be part of it. The next morning, Angela walked the halls of the hotel with sharper eyes than ever before. Every guest, every worker, every stranger checking in felt like a question mark. Was that couple in the lobby really just tourists? Was that man at the bar really a businessman, or was he watching her? Even her staff felt different. She had always trusted them, always treated them like family. But now, with Detective Harris's warning echoing in her head, suspicion crept in where trust used to live. At breakfast, one of the waiters avoided her eyes. A housekeeper whispered quickly to another before Angela passed by. A front desk clerk looked pale when she asked about the previous night's record. Her gut twisted. Something wasn't right. Then, just as she was heading back to her office, the fire alarm blared. A shrill, piercing sound filled the hotel, sending guests into a panic. Red lights flashed on the walls. Angela froze. Was it an accident? A drill? Or something else? The manager rushed up, panic in his eyes. "Ma'am, it's not a drill. Smoke's coming from the lower floors." Angela's heart stopped. The hotel wasn't just under suspicion anymore. It was under attack. Smoke curled through the air. Angela rushed down the staircase, her heels clacking against the metal steps as the fire alarm wailed overhead. Guests shouted in panic, children cried, luggage was abandoned in the halls. The hotel lobby, once calm and polished, now looked like chaos. "Everybody outside!" she shouted, waving her arms as she guided people toward the front doors. "Use the exits, keep moving." The manager darted to her side. "Ma'am, the smoke's coming from the storage area in the basement. We've already called the fire department." Angela's chest tightened. The basement was where cleaning supplies, equipment, and old furniture were kept. If there was a fire there, it could spread quickly. "Is everyone accounted for?" she demanded. "We're still checking," the manager answered, sweat streaming down his forehead. Angela's eyes swept the crowd pushing through the lobby doors. Tourists dragging kids, businessmen holding briefcases, elderly guests leaning on canes. Fear rippled across every face. But beneath the chaos, something gnawed at her gut. This didn't feel like an accident. Her mind flashed back to the suitcase, the gun, the man who smiled when he caught her. And Detective Harris's warning, "This goes deeper than you think." Was the fire part of it? A cover-up? A distraction? Angela's fists clenched at her sides. Not in her hotel. Not in the dream she had built with her own blood, sweat, and tears. Minutes later, the fire trucks screamed down the street, sirens echoing off the tall buildings. Firefighters stormed inside, gear shining under the flashing red lights. Guests huddled outside on the sidewalk, coughing from the smoke, whispering in fear. Angela stood near the entrance, refusing to leave until she knew her staff and guests were safe. One firefighter rushed up to her. "Ma'am, everyone out?" "We're still checking," she answered. "Some of my staff may still be inside." The firefighter nodded sharply. "We'll find them. Stay here." Angela watched him disappear into the thick smoke, her heart pounding. Her hotel stood tall against the night sky, but for the first time, it felt fragile. Like everything she had built could crumble in an instant. She thought of her mother again, working late nights, whispering hope into her ear. "You're going to own something one day." Angela had turned that whisper into a reality. But standing in the glow of firetruck lights, she wondered if someone was trying to take it all away. The fire was contained after nearly an hour. Smoke still lingered, clinging to Angela's clothes and hair as she walked through the basement with a firefighter by her side. The damage was bad, but not catastrophic. A pile of furniture had been burned, walls blackened with soot, the air thick with ash. But the firefighter's words chilled her. "It wasn't an accident," he said, shining his flashlight over the charred remains. "This was deliberate. Accelerant was used." Angela's blood ran cold. "You mean arson?" The firefighter gave a grim nod. "Yes, ma'am. Someone set this fire on purpose." Angela stared at the blackened floor, her fists trembling. Someone was targeting her hotel. First, the suitcase. Now, the fire. This wasn't coincidence. This was war. By the next morning, the fire had made headlines. News vans parked outside, reporters shoved microphones at guests, and photographers snapped pictures of the smoke-stained windows. Angela stood at the front steps, speaking firmly into microphones. "The safety of our guests is our highest priority," she said, her voice strong even though her heart felt heavy. "We are working closely with authorities to find out who is behind this act of arson. Let me be clear. This hotel will not be intimidated. We will rise stronger." Her words made it onto the morning news, but she could still feel the weight of doubt in the air. Some people watching saw her strength. Others saw only her skin color, whispering, questioning if she was capable of running such a place. And then came the sting, an online headline that read, "Luxury Hotel in Chaos, Owner or Maid." The article rehashed the rumor that had started in the lobby about a maid being mistaken for the owner. It painted her success as a joke, twisting her pride into something ugly. Angela slammed her laptop shut, her chest burning with anger. They weren't just attacking her business now, they were attacking her. That evening, Detective Harris returned with more news. "We've been looking into your suspect," he said, sitting across from her in her office. "The man we caught last night, his name is Victor Diaz. He's connected to a trafficking ring. The cash was part of a larger operation." Angela leaned forward, her hands clasped tight. "Why here? Why my hotel?" Harris's jaw tightened. "We think he had inside help. Someone on your staff may be working with him." Angela's heart skipped. "No. My staff wouldn't." But the detective cut her off gently. "Mrs. Carter, I need you to prepare yourself. Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones we overlook." Angela sat back, her stomach twisting. She thought of the nervous looks, the whispered conversations, the pale faces she had seen earlier. Her hotel wasn't just under attack from the outside. It was being betrayed from the inside. That night, long after the reporters left and the staff went home, Angela walked the halls alone. Her heels echoed off the marble floors, her eyes scanning every shadow. Her dream felt like it was slipping through her fingers, threatened not just by criminals but by the poison of racism, suspicion, and betrayal. She stopped at the lobby, looking up at the golden chandelier that had always made her proud. And that's when she noticed it. A man, standing in the corner, half hidden in the shadows, watching her. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He just stared. Angela's breath caught in her throat. And when she blinked, he was gone. Angela's breath caught as she froze in place. The lobby was empty except for her, the chandelier's golden light casting long shadows across the marble floor. She blinked, certain she had seen a man standing there. But now the corner was empty. Her pulse raced. Was she imagining it? No. She knew what she saw. Someone had been watching her. She walked slowly toward the corner, her heels echoing in the silence. Nothing. No one. Only the faint hum of the air conditioner and the distant sound of a car horn outside. Angela clenched her fist. Whoever he was real. And he wanted her to know he was watching. The next morning, Angela called an emergency meeting with her staff. They gathered in the conference room. Housekeepers, desk clerks, cooks, bellhops. Their faces looked tired, worried, frightened. She stood at the head of the long table, her shoulders squared. "Last night wasn't an accident," she said firmly. "The fire was arson. Someone tried to destroy this hotel. And the police believe it was an inside job." Gasps rippled through the room. Staff exchanged nervous glances, whispering under their breath. Angela raised her hand for silence. "I don't know who is involved. But I do know this: we cannot let fear or betrayal tear us apart. I built this hotel to be a place of dignity and respect. If someone here is helping criminals, they are not just betraying me. They are betraying all of us." Her voice wavered, but only for a moment. "So I will ask you this once. If anyone knows anything at all, come forward." The room fell silent. But no one spoke. Not a single word. Angela's eyes scanned every face. Some looked guilty. Others looked afraid. But all of them stayed silent. Her heart ached. She had trusted these people. Treated them like family. Now, one of them might be working to destroy her. Later that day, Detective Harris returned with surveillance footage. He placed a laptop on her desk, pressing play. The grainy video showed the basement hallway the night of the fire. At first, it looked empty. Then, a figure appeared, carrying a small red container. Angela leaned forward, her heart hammering. The person wore a hotel uniform. A staff member. The video wasn't clear enough to see a face, but the uniform was unmistakable. Angela's stomach twisted. Harris's words echoed in her head. Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones we overlook. She felt sick. But she also felt something else, anger. Find out who it is, she said through clenched teeth. I don't care how long it takes. Find them. That evening, Angela walked the halls again, her eyes sharper than ever. Guests smiled politely, unaware of the storm swirling beneath the hotel's polished surface. Staff nodded respectfully, but she wondered, was it them? Were they hiding secrets behind those smiles? The shadow of betrayal loomed over every interaction. When she reached the lobby, her chest tightened. She remembered the man she had seen the night before, standing in the corner, watching. Her gaze swept the room. Empty. Silent. But she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. At midnight, unable to sleep, Angela returned to her office. Papers cluttered her desk. Police reports, financial records, guest lists. She flipped through them, desperate for a clue. Then, a knock at the door. She stiffened. Who is it? Silence. Her skin prickled. The knock came again, louder this time. Angela's hand hovered over her phone, ready to call security. But then, a voice slipped through the door, low and threatening. You should sell this place while you still can. Her blood ran cold. She shot up from her chair, yanking the door open. But the hallway was empty. Only silence. Angela's heart pounded as she stepped back into her office, the echo of that voice chilling her to the bone. Someone wanted her gone. Someone wanted her hotel. And they weren't afraid to scare her into giving it up. The next day, Detective Harris called with urgent news. Mrs. Carter, we identified the staff member in the video. Angela gripped the phone tighter. Who? There was a pause. Then Harris said the name. And Angela's knees nearly buckled. Because it wasn't just any staff member. It was someone she trusted more than anyone else in the hotel. Angela's hand trembled as she held the phone to her ear. Say that again, she whispered. Detective Harris's voice was firm. The staff member in the video was your manager, Mr. Collins. Angela felt the world tilt beneath her. Collins? Her manager? The man who had worked by her side for years, who had greeted her every morning with a smile, who had promised to run the hotel like it was his own. Her knees weakened and she sank into her chair. No, there must be a mistake. I'm sorry, Mrs. Carter, Harris said. But the evidence is clear. He was seen entering the basement with an accelerant. We believe he's been helping Victor Diaz and his network. Your hotel was being used as part of their operation. Angela's stomach churned. Betrayal cut deeper than any insult ever had. She had trusted Collins. He had been like family. And all this time, he had been the one trying to bring her down. She slammed the phone down, fury burning in her chest. That evening, she confronted him. Collins stood in the office, his face calm, almost smug. Why? Angela demanded, her voice sharp as glass. Why would you betray me like this? He shrugged, as if the answer was simple. Money. Power. Diaz offered me more than you ever could. And let's be honest. His lips curled into a sneer. Did you really think someone like you could hold on to a place like this? Sooner or later, someone was going to take it from you. I just made it sooner. Angela's chest tightened with rage. His words weren't just about greed, they dripped with the same poison she had heard her whole life. Someone like you. He meant her color, her identity, everything she represented. You looked me in the eye every day and lied, she said, her voice trembling with fury. Collins smirked. And you believed me. That's the problem. You thought respect could be bought with kindness. But in the real world, power is all that matters. Angela took a step forward, her eyes blazing. You're wrong. Respect matters more than fear. And this hotel isn't yours. It isn't Diaz's. It's mine. I built it. I fought for it. And I will never let you take it away. Before Collins could reply, Detective Harris and 2 officers stepped in. Mr. Collins, Harris said coldly. You're under arrest. Collins's smirk faded as the handcuffs clicked around his wrist. Angela stood tall, her chin lifted high, watching as the man who had betrayed her was led out of the office. Her chest still burned with hurt, but beneath it there was a fire of strength. She had survived worse. She would survive this. News of Collins's arrest spread quickly. Reporters swarmed the hotel again, but this time the story was different. Headlines read, Hotel owner outsmarts criminal network. Angela Carter fights back against betrayal. She was treated like a maid, but she owned the hotel. The same guests who had once looked at her with doubt now looked at her with awe. Even the man in the gray suit, the one who had mocked her in the lobby, came up to her sheepishly one evening. I didn't realize, he muttered, his face red. I was wrong about you. Angela looked him straight in the eye. No, she said calmly. You were wrong about yourself. He blinked, confused, as she walked past him with her head high. Weeks later, the hotel was back to normal. The chandelier gleamed, the marble floors shone, the guests laughed and smiled. But for Angela, nothing would ever be the same. She had been tested, by racism, by betrayal, by danger. And she had stood her ground. One evening, she stood in the lobby, watching families check in and couples pose for photos under the chandelier. A young girl tugged at her mother's hand, pointing at Angela. Mommy, is she the owner? The mother smiled. Yes, sweetheart. She's the owner of this whole hotel. The little girl's eyes went wide with wonder. Angela's heart swelled. She thought of her mother again, whispering those words so many years ago. One day you're going to walk into a building, and you won't be cleaning it. You'll own it. Tears pricked Angela's eyes. She had made it true. And no one, no criminal, no betrayer, no racist, could ever take that away. If you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because every new video we share brings the truth to light. Don't stop here, keep watching and stand with us against racism. Thank you for watching to the end.